Welcome to Construction Champions Podcast, where we are burning the house down and rebuilding it twice a week. I'm your host, Ron Nussbaum, and I am here to help you become the champion that you're meant to be. Along with our amazing guests along the way, we will provide you with the resources, the latest and greatest. You will sit down with disruptors in the construction industry. And my goal from day one has always been to change the mindset around the construction industry. No more where we let the 3%. Welcome back, Construction Champions, to another episode. I'm your facilitator, Ron Nussbaum, and I have the great privilege of bringing on amazing guests and having amazing conversations about what it really takes to be a champion in the construction industry. Well, over 300 episodes. It's been an absolutely amazing journey, and every episode is full of tidbits of actionable items to help you with your personal life, your business, your relationships, everything around there. And we do it by, like I said, bringing on amazing guests, and today is no different. Chris, it is fantastic to have you here with us.
I appreciate it, Ron. Glad to be here. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, before we dive into it, why don't you introduce yourself to all the construction champions listening out there?
Yeah, my pleasure. Again, thanks for having me. Chris Clausing. I originally from Texas, grew up just north of Houston. Went to college in San Antonio. Around 2000, I ended up moving, chased a woman who's now my wife to Miami. So beautiful South Florida, and I've lived there ever since. But when I got to South Florida in the early 2000s, I started getting very interested in construction. I started working for a developer. We did mid-rise mixed-use projects, mid-rise like mixed-use commercial, a medical condo. Did a lot of one-story kind of commercial build-outs, a lot of custom homes in this area. And did that for about 4 or 5 years until I opened up my own firm, Clausing Builders. So pretty much been doing that work since that time, building, again, a whole wide range of projects, whatever came in the door. And for the past 7 years, I've been working with Colibri Group, which is a professional education company, and they have a lot of construction education. They own 3 brands in construction ed. And so I manage some curriculum for those brands and also kind of help with the operational side for the government contracting ecosystem that they have. So currently I just help support small businesses, construction related small businesses who are doing road work and bridge work, and help them to connect with projects and opportunities within the government space, and also liaison with all the departments of transportation that we contract with.
Awesome, man. This is going to be a fantastic conversation. You're hitting on some key points that a lot of people need education around. So I am excited to have this conversation today. I'm going to kick it off by asking the $1 million question, and that is, what makes a construction champion?
I love that question. And there's probably every guest you have will have a different answer. For sure, for me, what's top of mind is resilience. You have to be resilient in this industry, and you've got to be able to pivot on a daily basis, sometimes on an hourly basis. And there's going to be a lot of ups and downs in your career as a construction professional. But the good news is there's so many opportunities out there and so many different scopes of work and different professions and trades that really you have a whole all-you-can-eat buffet of options. But every construction champion that I know has been incredibly resilient, has been able to survive the really difficult times, and then also have processes in place to leverage the really good times.
Yeah, I think the resilience of the construction industry is really kind of one of the unsung heroes of who we are as an industry. We have all of this stuff that has happened. People talk about it, the ups and downs and the major declines, but here it is. The construction industry just keeps right on ticking because those individuals within it had that resilience that you talk about.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's, a couple the two kind of lowest points in my professional career were, of course, 2007, 2008, when we had really was the Great Depression for construction, especially in South Florida. And, my business was really under a lot of pressure. There was no margins. My competitors were basically working for free, or even worse, they were actually losing money. They were just working it was costing them to work just to keep their crews busy. And it's very difficult to survive when you have no margin, right? The profit margin is a critical piece. So navigating through that and trying to understand, that's where you really have to leverage relationships, customer service, differentiating yourself from the competition who are working for free. So 2000, that period of time was very difficult. And then, of course, COVID was also tricky in the industry just because of all the regulations, and it was very difficult to, inspections were tough to get, and that was not as bad as the 2007, 2008. But again, you have to sort of pivot. But those are, there's always something. There's going to be another whatever it is
Mm.
in the industry to kind of hit it. But to your point, absolutely, construction professionals are always resilient. It's in the DNA. I don't think anyone who's not resilient would choose this profession. So, but what the beautiful rewards at the end. Everyone that I know that just stayed the course and worked hard and got through the difficult times, they were always rewarded at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think I love people that are educating others that have been there. So like you said, we always have these things that the worst case scenario that could possibly happen. And we know eventually one of them's going to happen again because we have the track record. Is that something that when you're educating these companies, these construction businesses on, how does that feed into it? Like your past experiences where you have dealt with this stuff. It's not like you're just teaching theory, you're teaching life lessons you learned.
Yeah, and that's the great benefit of what I do. I mean, I go to a lot of events, trade shows, association events. I teach a lot to construction professionals, do trainings for them all across the country. And they all have the same, really the same thing in common. And is that they're all hungry for more knowledge, more information. Everyone wants to be better and try to be better. And I get as much from the audience that I'm working with as they do for me. I mean, if not more. And so it's a two-way street in terms of learning. But especially for the younger group who's kind of getting into construction, maybe they're in their 20s, 30s, 40s, maybe, they're newer to the industry. Maybe they've had family in the industry, but now they want to go out on their own, or they've worked for somebody for 10 years and 10, 15 years. Now they're ready to kind of launch their own thing. And so I really try to beat that drum of course, resilience, letting them know, look, it's not going to be a straight, path up. It's going to be a winding road, and there's going to be a lot of twists and turns. So just emotionally being prepared for that, because a lot of obviously people who are in this industry have families, they have children, they have spouses. And one of the things that is really difficult in this industry is you tend to, just like any business, you tend to take your work home with you. And and so part of the resilience is also understanding you have to also compartmentalize, make sure you have a really good support system at home. Don't bring those issues at home as best you can, because your family knows you as you. Your business is a separate thing. So that's probably one of the bigger challenges, is trying to navigate without destroying your situation at the house. And then also you have to have really good processes in place. Especially for new businesses, new contractors, they want to be the jack of all trades. They want to go out and do everything. They want to run the project. They want to run the books. They may not want to do that, but they end up doing it. And
Mhm.
so having the ability to create processes, there's amazing technologies in place that can automate so much now. And you have, systems like Procore and other types of workflow management platforms that can help organize job sites, help schedule, projects, help make sure that you're on target in terms of your milestones. So that's the other kind of piece, I think, is for me that I really focus on, is how to integrate technology and how to build out really good processes for operational effectiveness, and also for making sure that you find really good talent and help to maintain that talent.
Yeah, because I mean, without the processes, that's how you end up never coming back home. Like the
Right.
processes, that's what gets you home because that's what frees you up. real, I mean, like Jocko says, like discipline is freedom. Like those processes allow you to have discipline to something, which then actually creates the freedom that most of us start businesses for.
Right. Well, that's it. You start, especially if you're coming, let's say, from a corporate environment, right? Let's say you're not an owner, you're an employee of a corporate environment. You're probably in at 8, you're probably leaving around 5 or 6. And there tends to be, in a corporate environment, a little more process in place, which is good. And then you get into construction, right? And maybe you don't have those same processes. And now you went from more of a structured environment. Now you're getting into what's not typically a structured environment. Every project in construction is different. Every day is different. There's a lot. And so I get it why sometimes these processes are hard to implement. But if you can, like you said, if you can maintain that discipline and have basic processes in place, so have a structured payroll system, an accountant that you can lean on, an insurance carrier or provider that's reliable, that can help you with the workers' comp and help you with the additional insureds. Have a solid 90-day onboarding plan for new staff, like basic things that you can build out in your company, so that first of all you can not have to do all the work. I mean, that's the first thing. In a corporate environment, you're typically just doing the same things over and over, and maybe you manage a few people, maybe you don't. But in construction, you don't want to fall into that trap of now I got to do everything, right? Because you think it's saving you money or you think it's saving you time. It's doing neither of those things. So you have to be able to, okay, these are the processes that I have. I'm going to let my team go out. It's kind of a one to many mentality. If I don't want to manage each project myself, I will make no money doing that. There's no scalability there. I cannot do that. There's no process in place to make me do. You want to be managing a team that manages 20 projects effectively.
Ooh.
And so to do that, you just got to understand, okay, what are the things that I can automate? What are the things that I can outsource and, hire people that do these things better than me?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're hitting the nail on the head with why this stuff matters. I always say we just have to control the controllables, because in construction, there's so many uncontrollables. But what we tend to do is we tend to focus on the uncontrollables instead of just focusing on what we can control. And if we would just control that and understand that the variables are out of our control, as they come and they ebb and flow in day to day, hour to hour, it's fine because we're controlling what we can control. When they come up, we make decisions based off of what our operational procedures are for each one of those scenarios.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And just probably I think a perfect example of this. So currently what we do in my business now, I work with a lot of firms who want to get government contracts. So they're looking to work with maybe the Coast Guard or the Department of Defense or state agencies, maybe departments of transportation. That's also a primary focus for us. And so, one of the things that we work with them is, obviously you want to make sure that you're answering and responding to RFPs that are within your scope, right? That you can do. Don't bite off more than you can chew. Make it a presentable, answer all the questions, put it in a really nice package, because that's part of, how you look, right? As a first impression, is they're going to see that proposal. But those things you can control. You can also control your interactions with the procurement officer, nice emails, follow up emails, just the little things, right? Again, all of these are controllable inputs. The one thing you can't really control, especially in government contracting, is the outcome. They're gonna pick either you or some other proposer, which is totally fine. So I try to have them not focus on the outcome. Like, let's understand why we didn't get it. If you need to do a FOIA request to get the winning contract so you can see it, great, do that. If they give it to you regular, do that. But you want to get your eyes on that contract, understand why yours fell short. That you can also control. So, but sometimes we're very outcome driven and we get very discouraged because of an outcome that's really outside of our control. And so it's really a trap. You want to, just because you don't get this project or that project, okay, that's fine. Let's understand maybe why we didn't get it. But like you said, the things that you can control around that are the things that you have to focus on.
Awesome. I love that you pivoted towards the government contracting because I was going to naturally do that because you had referenced that that is something that you do, and it's something that there's not a lot of information out there. All listeners love the information when somebody comes on here. We haven't had very many people because there's not like a lot of experts in this. There's not like people that have been there, understand how to go about this. What do you need to do and everything? So for all listeners, if you could just speak into that government contracting aspect and we could have a conversation around what they're looking at, like what do they need to do to get the ball rolling and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So government is contracting work is a great space. It's always got money, sometimes more times than others, but there's always money there, and they always pay. So now they don't pay quick, which is one of the things, but they pay, and so you never have to worry about, not if someone walking away or moving out. The state of Texas is not going anywhere, right? The Department of Defense is there, so that's one of the benefits of the contract work. So I think as a if you want to go into that space, or if you're not in that space yet, you think, hey, maybe I want to go into that space because again, there's anything in government contracting work as is in the private sector. You can do renovation, you can do new construction, you can do trades, MEPs, you can do roofing, you can do windows, you can do cleaning, road work, bridge work. I mean, it's the same thing in the public sector as the private as far as options. But I think what you want to do is try to understand, okay, what is my core business? What am I really good at?
Mm.
and and then focus on finding projects that that are those particular scopes of work, right? So that's kind of step one, is understanding, okay, define my scope. What am I good at? What could I potentially expand into? And then I think also you want to decide, do I want to work on a federal level, a state level, a local level? What makes sense to me? So we'll start kind of with the federal level. So at the federal level, to do government contracting work, you have to be registered at the SAM.gov. So you have to get that registration, which is not hard. You got to go fill out an online application, go through that process of getting registered, and then you have access to all of the government opportunities. And also, you want to, if possible, get on the GSA certification as a contract holder on the GSA list as well. So that's a little bit of a longer process, but those two things are really critical to sort of start to get into the government side.
To pause you real quick, what is the GSA list? Why would we want to be on that? Or what is it even?
Yeah, so the GSA is basically it's the Government Services Administration. They are essentially the landlord for all of the federal properties. So anything that goes in terms of servicing federal properties, again, renovations, repairs, maintenance, cleaning, anything like anything that a landlord would do to a property, you have to be a GSA certified on a contract holder for GSA in order to even be considered for those types of long-term contracts. So we always encourage our clients to get, obviously, SAM.gov, get on the GSA list, which again is a little bit of a longer process. But once you have those, being a GSA contract holder is a big deal. And then you can take advantage of procurements across all the states.
Mm.
Yeah.
Awesome. I would continue. I was sorry to interrupt you to begin with.
Good.
Threw that out there, and that was a term I wasn't familiar with. If I'm not familiar with it, I know our listeners probably aren't as well. So I just wanted to make sure we had clarity. I didn't know that pretty much anything is contracted out. Like it does, like whatever you specialize in the private sector, you can probably do in the government contracting sector. I knew there was a lot of crossover. I didn't think it was that niche within the space.
Yeah, anything you want. I mean, it can be a little overwhelming too. There's so much different things. They typically work on either work codes or what's called NICS codes. And those are basically the classification codes that define what you do. So it could be a consulting, could be general contractor, could be, electrical, whatever the code is. So we help firms kind of isolate or determine what their codes are so they get certified properly. The other thing I would say, and this is the same across federal and state and local, is you want to also take advantage of any small business certifications that are available. So the SBA has a small business certification called Small Business Enterprise. It's in most states in the federal government, it's self-certification. So you have to fall within certain limits. You can't make X amount over a certain amount of money, gross revenues. But as a qualified SBE firm, or you can be a woman-owned business, you can be a veteran-owned business, any of those minority-owned business, any of those small, or all of them. You don't have to be just one. You can capture all the certifications. The benefit of that is there are certain set-asides that are allocated just to small businesses that are certified. So you're not competing with larger primes on some of these projects, and some of them are pretty sizable, too. Or there'll be small business goals that are set on larger projects so that these primes have to hire X amount of small businesses. It could be up to 26% of that money has to go to a certified small business firm. So you want to take advantage of all the small business certifications that you can. Um, and then you have to just be on the lookout and make sure that you're a registered vendor. So on the federal side, every federal agency, Coast Guard, Army, Navy, all Department of Defense, all the agencies of every agency, EPA, they all have within the agency small business support staff. So you can go to any of those agencies, contact the small business support liaison within that agency, and they will help you. You can actually meet with them and their team. They do what's called a capability meeting or capacity meeting, and they will meet you and your team, and you'll meet their team, and they'll walk you through how, is your company a good fit for their projects? What might you need to do to improve? What projects are coming up? You can email them, talk to them. They help walk through. Sometimes they'll help we walk through proposals and things like that. So there's a whole host of resources that are available on the federal side. And then on the state side is very similar. Every state also, like Secretary of States typically have a small business development program with grant money, and there's a whole host of different things that are available on the state side. And then you just go through, you have to just make sure that every state and every municipality that you want to work in, that you are registered as a pre-qualified vendor in that state or that municipality. So it's just like a pre-vetting process to make sure that you are eligible to receive those contracts. And same thing, you have the same small business certifications applied to the state and local levels as they do the federal level. So once you have that certification, it just helps you to get your foot in the door. And then to kind of wrap that up, I would say the other thing a lot of our clients do is they will partner or would do what's called a teaming partnership with larger companies, maybe who have more experience in this sector, but can't do everything. They might be able to do 90% of the contract, but that 10%. So a lot of times they'll look for teaming partners. So you can join them as a teaming partner, which gives you that experience in federal work or state work or government work. And then future contracts become a lot easier as you start to build that resume. Government work is a slow burn. It takes a lot of effort up front. You have to submit a lot of proposals, build relationships, get to know the players, the procurement officers, the estimators, the project managers. But eventually, as you plant more seeds, you start to really see that crop grow and grow and grow. And long term, it's like the money is so stable and you just continually incrementally grow up and eventually be a prime.
Is this something that anybody can really compete at, or is it just like big companies? Like, is it dominated by these big, massive companies, or is this something where, say, you have a successful business and you want to move over into this, that it's something that you could get into, or do you need to really be like a nationwide, I guess conglomerate's not the best word to use, but like a nationwide company that has a bigger reputation than, say, somebody that's in a state or has a territory within a state?
Yeah, that's a great question. No, there's actually very few really, really large prime contractors. Now they do capture a lot of the revenue just because the scopes of work are so large. But again, a lot of these projects have small business requirements. So there's always going to be a very significant piece of the pie that's allocated to small business. Um, just as a kind of an example, a local company here in the South Florida area, Lego Construction, just saw them do a presentation. It was really fantastic. It kind of told their story a little bit, but they started out maybe I think it's maybe 15 years ago. They were not in government work. They started very small. They started doing renovations in public housing. So they were responding to RFPs for, fixing a door and painting this room, or maybe this window was cracked in a public housing project somewhere in the county. They started to build relationships within the county procurement offices. That grew into other counties across the South Florida area. And then they started to get larger contracts because they had that track record. So now they were able to compete for larger pieces of work. And they also were able to pivot from public housing to school districts, school boards, to hospitals, to other areas. So there's a lot of segments within the government contract that you can kind of go into. But that's really, now they're a huge prime. Now they are the prime contractor, and now they're competing for the large overall contracts, and then they're looking for subs to fulfill the work that they have to execute on. But that's what you're looking at, about a 10 to 12 year probably process from starting really small to now becoming a large prime with over 100 employees. So that's just one of many stories. And again, it's all about, going back to the very beginning, all about resilience. Their owner was very resilient, very patient, consistently disciplined, submitting proposals, always looking, where's the money going? Where's the money going? Where's the money going? And chasing that money. That was the secret.
I love that. So what I'm hearing is a lot of it's really about building that resume. It's about building the reputation. Just like when you started out doing your thing in your community, you have to do the same thing. You have to start out and start just building that resume so people get to know you and how you operate as a business, and that you can come through. I think that's something I've heard. Like, they want to know that you're going to come through and do what you say you're going to do and complete these projects.
Yeah, for sure. And you'll see that it's, a lot of the requirements for government contract work to be awarded work is the lowest responsible bidder, right? It's not the lowest bidder, it's the lowest responsible bidder. So what do they look at in that word responsible? It's financial strength, it's resume, it's experience, it's cash flow controls. Do they know you in the industry? Do you have other, like, the reputation in the industry? Your bonding capacity, right? What is that? So that you have to have a really good relationship with the bonding agent. Those are the things that really come into play. So you don't always have to be the lowest number. As a matter of fact, my presentation that Lego did, it was really great because there would be times when they would be double the next bidder, right? I mean, just double the bidder who won. But eventually that catches up. Like, those companies fall off because there's always going to be a middle range of what you can actually do the work for. We can continue to do projects for free, right? We learned that in 2007, 2008. But so eventually just stay patient, keep bidding to what makes sense for your business. And again, that's why the processes become important. You got to be very efficient, right? The more efficient you are on the operational side, the less margin you really need, and the higher chance you have of winning the projects. But just stay consistent, stay patient. You're going to have other projects going on as well in the private sector, which is great. And that'll continue to support you. But this government sector strategy is very effective if you just stick with it.
Awesome, Chris. This has been a very educational conversation here today. I love it. For all the listeners listening, if they wanted to connect with you, learn more about what you do, where's the best places for them to do that?
Yeah, I would say I'm on my LinkedIn page. So the handle is at GC Exam Prep. So GC Exam Prep. You can find me there on my LinkedIn page. That's probably where I live the most of the time. But you can also email me. It's closing@ceihome.com. So C and then closing my last name at ceihome.com. Those are the best ways to get a hold of me, and I'll be happy to set a meeting with anybody and chat. And I also have a team of project managers who work directly with the states that if there's certain projects that you're looking at or opportunities that you want to pursue, give us a call or send us an email. Be happy to talk with you.
Awesome, Chris. Well, thank you for taking the time and being on the show today.
My pleasure, Ron. Thank you.
All right, construction champions, another episode in the bag. Where we started out by talking about resilience, and I think that's something we should really focus in on here, because in today's world with social media and everything, it can seem like all this stuff happens overnight. Like all of a sudden, boom, bada bang, somebody's living their dream life. And that's not how it really works in the real world. Now, there's going to be outliers to that, but anybody that's ever built anything understands that this stuff takes time. Look at it when you watch these houses go up in these communities, and they go up super fast, and then they go to crap super fast. And you watch a custom built house that takes a year and a half, 2 years, 3 years, but then it's there forever. It's the same thing as you're building your reputation, as you're out there building your business. It's about getting that foundation right and doing everything right, even though it might take a little bit longer. You're going to have some more resilience with this, especially if you're wanting to move into the government contracting, which Chris gave us a master class on what that looks like. And same thing. Get your resume together, and it's going to take resilience. Like, this stuff's not going to happen overnight. It's not like you're going to go have a cup of coffee with one person and the next thing you're the big shot in government contracting in your area. It's just not how it works. So make sure you're out there, and when you're out there getting it done and you're in the grind, make sure you don't forget about the people at home and getting back home to that life. And this can become all encompassing, but don't let it. Get the systems and processes in place to not have to be working 24 hours a day. So, construction champions, until next time, be the champion you were meant to be.